Tell me a story about ancient Egypt, but you create the story.
Okay, I'll try to create a story about ancient Egypt. Here is what I came up with. The Pharaoh's secret. Nefertari was the daughter of the pharaoh, the ruler of ancient Egypt. She had everything she could ever want: a palace, jewels, servants, and a handsome prince who loved her. But she also had a secret. She loved to read and write, something that was forbidden for women in her society. She had a hidden room in her chamber, where she kept scrolls of history, poetry, and science. She would sneak out at night and visit the library of the priests, where she learned more about the mysteries of the world. She also had a secret friend, a young scribe named Khepera, who shared her passion for learning. One day, Nefertari received a letter from Khepera, telling her that he had discovered something amazing: a hidden tomb of an ancient king, filled with treasures and secrets. He invited her to join him in exploring it, but warned her that it was very dangerous. He said that the tomb was guarded by traps, curses, and a terrible beast. Nefertari was curious and excited. She decided to go with Khepera, even though she knew it was against her father's wishes. She packed some supplies and a dagger, and left a note for her prince, telling him that she had gone on a journey. She met Khepera at the edge of the desert, and they rode on camels to the location of the tomb. They found the entrance hidden under a pile of sand. They moved the sand away and entered the dark passage. They lit torches and followed the signs that Khepera had marked on the walls. They avoided the traps that were set to kill intruders: spikes, arrows, pits, and snakes. They reached a large chamber with a stone door. Khepera said that this was the final test. He said that only those who knew the true name of the king could open the door. He said that he had found the name in an old scroll, but he wanted Nefertari to guess it first. He said that it was a riddle. He who made the sun rise. He who ruled with justice. He who loved his people. He who died in glory. What is his name? Nefertari thought hard. She remembered what she had read about the ancient kings of Egypt. She remembered their deeds and their titles. She remembered one king who was especially famous for his achievements. She said his name: Akhenaten. Khepera smiled and nodded. He said that she was right. He said that Akhenaten was the king who changed the religion of Egypt from many gods to one god, the sun god Aten. He said that he was also the father of Tutankhamun, the boy king whose tomb was found intact by modern archaeologists. He pushed the door and it opened with a loud creak. They entered the tomb and gasped at what they saw: walls covered with paintings and hieroglyphs, statues of gold and silver, chests filled with jewels and coins, and in the center of it all, a sarcophagus made of stone and decorated with precious stones. They approached the sarcophagus and lifted the lid. Inside was a mummy wrapped in linen and wearing a golden mask. It was Akhenaten himself, preserved for eternity. They were amazed and awed by their discovery. They felt like they had traveled back in time and met one of the greatest rulers of history. They felt like they had unlocked a secret that no one else knew. But they also felt a sudden chill in the air. They heard a low growl behind them. They turned around and saw a huge lion standing at the entrance of the tomb. It had red eyes and sharp teeth. It looked hungry and angry. They realized that this was the beast that guarded the tomb. They realized that they had disturbed its slumber. They realized that they were in trouble.
Try and complete the story.
Okay, I'll try to complete the story. Here is what I came up with. Nefertari and Khepera looked at each other in panic. They knew they had no chance against the lion. They had to find a way out. They remembered that they had seen some paintings on the walls of the tomb. They remembered that they had depicted scenes from Akhenaten's life and reign. They remembered that one of them showed him riding a chariot and shooting arrows at his enemies. They had an idea. They ran to the wall and grabbed one of the arrows that was painted on it. To their surprise, it came off easily. It was not a painting, but a real arrow that was embedded in the wall. They looked around and saw more arrows on the wall. They also saw a bow and a quiver. They realized that these were Akhenaten's weapons, hidden in plain sight. They quickly armed themselves with the bow and arrows. They turned to face the lion, who was now approaching them slowly and menacingly. They aimed at its heart and fired. The arrow hit the lion in the chest, but it did not stop it. It only made it angrier. They fired again and again, but none of their arrows seemed to hurt the lion. It was as if it was protected by some magic. They ran out of arrows and dropped the bow. They backed away from the lion, who was now ready to pounce on them. They thought they were doomed. They closed their eyes and waited for the end. But then they heard a loud roar. It was not the lion, but another animal. They opened their eyes and saw a huge eagle flying above them. It had golden feathers and a sharp beak. It swooped down and attacked the lion. It clawed at its eyes and bit its neck. It lifted the lion off the ground and carried it away. They watched in awe as the eagle flew out of the tomb with the lion in its talons. They wondered where it came from and why it saved them. They looked at each other and smiled. They realized that this was a sign from Aten, the sun god. He had sent his messenger, the eagle, to rescue them. They thanked Aten for his mercy and his power. They felt a warm light shining on them. They looked up and saw a hole in the ceiling of the tomb. It was where the eagle had entered. They saw the sun shining through the hole. It was bright and beautiful. They decided to follow the sun. They climbed up to the hole and escaped from the tomb. They felt free and happy. They had survived their adventure and learned a lot about Akhenaten and his legacy. They decided to keep their discovery a secret. They knew that their father would not approve of their actions. They also knew that there were many dangers in the desert. They returned to their camels and rode back to the palace. They agreed to meet again soon and continue their friendship. They also agreed to never forget what they had seen and experienced in the tomb of Akhenaten. Okay, I'll try to make it a poem. Here is what I came up with. The tomb of Akhenaten. Nefertari was the pharaoh's daughter. She loved to read and write. She had a secret friend, a scribe, who shared her thirst for knowledge and delight. They found a hidden tomb one day of an ancient king who changed the faith. They entered the dark and dusty chamber and saw his face and felt his grace. But they also woke a sleeping lion who guarded the tomb with fierce devotion. They tried to fight it with their arrows, but they could not pierce its skin or slow its motion. They thought they were going to die. But then they heard a mighty cry. An eagle came and saved their lives. It was a sign from Aten, the sun god in the sky. They thanked him for his mercy and his power. They climbed up to the hole and saw the sun. They felt free and happy and alive. They had survived their adventure and had fun. They kept their discovery a secret. They knew their father would not agree. They also knew the desert was dangerous. But they promised to meet again and learn more history. They never forgot what they had seen and done. In the tomb of Akhenaten, the king who loved the sun.